Welcome to the Chuck Shoot podcast. I'm very proud to say that today because I have a very amazing guest. Erik Turner, the guitarist from one of my all-time favorite bands, Warrant, is here. I had an amazing interview with him. I don't know, I'm going to say amazing probably about 20 times. So usually I'll do these intros, I'll write a little bit up and I'll just kind of read that because I don't want to stumble and say the wrong thing. But this time I thought I'd do something a little bit different and just kind of shoot from the hip and just say what I feel, because I'm just kind of on a high right now because I just had this interview with a guitarist from one of my favorite bands. So I want to kind of ride that momentum wave and just continue to talk about how great it was. So basically, Warrant, for me, I started getting into rock in like 8th grade. I remember there was this kid and he had long curly black hair and he sat behind me in history class and he had a Warrant cherry pie t-shirt. I thought, that's a pretty cool t-shirt. It's like this waitress girl, whatever the album cover is, if you look at that. And I just thought it looked cool. And I was just started to get into rock. And I remember getting that CD from the library because I saw it there and I was like, oh, I'll check this out. And I remember listening to it and just like every song was good. And I was like, oh, this is such a great CD. And then of course I, got their debut album, Dirty Rotten Filthy Stinking Rich. And that's another one where like every song on the album is great. And then of course, they had a couple songs on the Gladiator soundtrack, We Will Rock You, the cover, and a song called The Power that were great. And then their third album, Dog Eat Dog, which was not necessarily a commercial success. It sold over 500,000 copies. It's a gold record. But that was kind of like the end of times for that kind of music. Alice in Chains, Seattle Scene took over. But I loved the Dog Eat Dog record. I love their other records in the 90s, Ultraphobic, Belly to Belly. They continued to make music. They changed singers a couple times. I love all their albums. I have every single one. I've even listened to a lot of the demos and rarities and things. I've seen them live a few times. I've never got to see them with Jani Lane, that's their original singer, so that's kind of sad. But definitely just a diehard. I mean, you can see the poster over here. I bought that when they were in town. I'm just a diehard. Something about that band just to me sounded really. I love the songs, the look. Look, the music died because I've just kept going on about this. So I'll just continue to talk about how great of a band this is. I think you'll enjoy this interview. If you don't know the story, you'll hear a lot of it in this interview. You can do some Google and listen to their music, listen to all their albums. There's a lot of really good hidden gems. On Ultraphobic, we talk about the song Stronger Now. It's like kind of Paul McCartney, Blackbird kind of Beatles-esque song. Great song. Probably no one's heard of it, but that's why I'm telling you about it now. Check it out. Check out all their records. There's something for everybody. There's just good music. And so it's really exciting to talk to him. And they say, don't meet your heroes. Fuck that. Erik Turner was awesome. He was super nice. And he's definitely one of my heroes. So he made my dreams come true today by doing this interview. And I had a blast talking with him. So check it out. Enjoy. Welcome to the show. This is amazing. All right. Look at this. Look at what I got.
Oh, I like yours better.
Yeah, it's autograph number 379. It's pretty cool. It's numbered and everything.
That's really cool. That's a collectible bottle now. No longer in the wine business. Had a lot of fun doing it. But no more wine for me unless I go to the liquor store and buy it.
Oh, yeah. So what happened? That it just didn't work out for you for doing that business?
Had 9 great years with it, and it was just time to do something else, like guitars. Yeah,
you do a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of like you guys do the TV and film music, and you've got the obviously Warrant and all sorts. You got a song and Guitar Hero. You got all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah. Try and stay busy, man. Always finding something to do. If I don't have anything to do, I'll make something up and do that.
I think this is amazing though, because you didn't like school because you said it got in the way of what you really wanted to do. But like, how many other kids say that? Like, oh, school, I'm gonna be a rock star instead. Why do you think that you succeeded and so many others didn't? You must have seen a lot of bands fall through the wayside in the 80s and 90s that had the talent but just never made it.
Yeah, I was just had blind ambition. There's just a feeling inside me that, we're going to make it. Not me. We, the band, we're going to make it. And we worked real hard and we built up a following on the Sunset Strip and we would hand out, 5,000 flyers for a show, and we were always building different stage sets, and everything, all the time we had, any spare time, any spare money, always went into the show, the band, promotion, and eventually it started paying off with sold out shows every time we played. Then we started selling out 2 nights in a row. Then we started selling out 3 nights in a row. And this is a band that doesn't have a record deal.
Yeah.
And so, eventually we got signed.
So in those early days, I mean, it was a struggle, right? I'm assuming the first few gigs, it was maybe not as big as you wanted, but you just kept going.
Yeah. No, I mean, the first show we played was at the Troubadour on a Tuesday night. It was actually a really cool gig, though, because Yngwie Malmsteen was playing with his new singer. I think it might have been their first show with Jeff Scott Soto.
Yeah.
And so that was the first time I met Jeff, was that night. And then, so it was really cool. I mean, I was a huge Alcatraz fan, Steeler, of course, Yngwie Malmsteen solo. So being on the same bill as him, my very first time on stage at a real proper club, the Troubadour in Hollywood, and Yngwie's out there watching us play. That was a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So they kind of already had a little bit of a following when you joined the band. But I heard this the other day. This is a crazy story. So before you joined Warrant, there was another band that you were in. I don't know, were you in the band, but you played or auditioned or something with Izzy Stradlin from Guns N' Roses. He was playing drums, and you got together with him. And
yeah, I met some friends of mine. We play in garage bands, and there's a group of musicians locally. And my buddy Mike Delaney called me, and he's like, "Hey, man, we got a new drummer. Come over to the garage or house or bedroom, wherever the hell it was." And we went over there, and that's the first time I met Izzy. He was playing drums, and so then that, we just probably jammed a couple times. It's so long ago, really blurry, but he did sell his drum set, and he was looking to buy a PA. My friend had a PA that he was selling, so Izzy bought it. And then we got together, Izzy and I, once or twice, hanging out at this place called Tri-City Park, and started writing some songs. And not too long after that, I got a knock on the door. It was Izzy, and he says, "I'm going to Hollywood. Do you want to go?" And I was 16 years old at the time, and said, "No, I don't want to go to Hollywood. I'm not ready to leave home yet."
Do you have a copy of those songs anywhere that you wrote with Izzy?
There was no recording or anything like that. Acoustic guitars and some beers and who knows what else out by the lake.
That's cool. I heard
throwing some ideas around. Yeah. And so then I see him. Then I moved to LA when I'm 19, and I'm at the Troubadour comes up again. We're out front of the Troubadour. There's Izzy handing out Hollywood Rose flyers, and he's wearing a pink leather jacket and all rocked out and stuff. So we reconnected a little bit, and
that's
then
cool.
After Guns N' Roses got huge, we I haven't seen him since then, but I did. I'd go see Guns N' Roses play at the Roxy and the Troubadour and places like that, and say hi to Izzy.
That's super cool. There was another one that I thought I knew everything about Warrant, but I'm doing my research and I'm like, what the. You almost joined Megadeth, or you had an audition or something with Dave Mustaine?
How the hell do you know? How the hell do you know this, man?
I did my research.
Yeah, no, that's true. When I was 16, there was a paper called The Recycler in Orange County, and there was an ad in there. I had never heard of Metallica at the time, but it says ex-Metallica guitarist forming new band Megadeth, and inquire if you're interested. So I contacted Dave through the paper, the phone, or whatever. And I went down, I think it was Huntington Beach, and it was his mom's apartment or something there that he was staying at. I don't know I think it was his mom. I don't know. I could be wrong. But anyways, I met Dave, we talked, and that was it. I never got past that audition as to the next level of actually jamming with Dave. But years later, we lived in the same apartment building in Sherman Oaks, Dave and I would see him at different places and say hi. And I reminded him of that story. And he's always been super cool to me.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, and it's kind of interesting because maybe he didn't think you were the right fit for Megadeth, but the band that you were in, when you were in Warrant, before Jani and all them joined, the singer and the drummer left to form a new band called Hot Wheels. And they didn't like you, or they didn't think you guys were a good fit because they thought you were like too heavy, which is kind of interesting because a lot of people think Warrant's too poppy or whatever, but they thought you were too heavy.
Yeah, the guys wanted, our drummer, Max, and Adam, our singer, they wanted to put together a Hollywood super group of club guys, or whatever it was. So I think, gosh, I'm trying to think what the other band was, Mickey Knight or something like that. And, two guys from Warrant, few guys from Mickey Knight, they got together and formed a new band. I don't remember the name of the band. Maybe it was Hot Wheels.
Yeah, I thought Hot Wheels with a Z.
So things were going great for Warrant. We were playing shows, building up a following, and then we played a gig in San Diego. And the next morning, they're like, "Hey, let's have a meeting." And Max and Adam, the way I remember it, told me that it's just musical differences. You're way into Iron Maiden, Eric, which I was. And Jerry, you're really into Black Sabbath, and those bands are real cool and all, but we want to do something different. And they kind of put it like that. I forget what they said to Josh. I don't know what they said, but anyways, They tried to let us down as easy as possible. It's all musical differences. And then, so Josh, Jerry, and I are driving back up to LA from San Diego, and the first person whose name came up was that band, Plain Jane, their singer. That guy was great. We had played a couple shows with Plain Jane, amazing vocals, amazing frontman. So we're like, let's contact him. And that's what we did. And the rest is history.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too, that you actually were looking at a different drummer, but Jani said it's a package deal. You got to take my drummer with me, Steven Sweet. That's pretty. That's good loyalty. How the hell do
you know this stuff? Were you there? You're freaking me out, dude.
I've heard you tell the story.
There was a band called Taz, if I remember correctly. I think it was Kenny. We wanted Kenny, the drummer from Taz. We thought he'd be a great fit, and then Jani on vocals. And then Jani said, "Hey man, I'll join your band, but you got to bring Steven." We said, "Okay." And if you ever heard the two of them sing together, you just like, it was an easy yes. It was like, okay, it sounds great, because those two guys sing like birds together.
Yeah. So then to complete the band, you got Joey Allen. You met him at a liquor store. But I heard this the other day. This is interesting that he was.
I met Joey at a liquor store.
Isn't that what it was? You ran into him at like a liquor store or something?
No, I knew Joey from high school. We were in a band together for a little while. Right around, I was 18 or so, and it was my last band I tried to get going, or be in a band even in Orange County at all. And it was called Nightmare 2. And so Joey and I, we played in that band for like 2 weeks, and then he quit to some other band, and then I left and moved to LA. But no, I had known Joey before.
Okay.
Warrant.
Is it true that he played in a band with Lars Ulrich from Metallica?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They had a 3-piece, and they jammed together for a while, and then I don't know what happened.
That's pretty crazy.
but yeah, years later, we're out on the road and tours and different places and clubs, hanging out at some of the same nightclubs as Lars, and those guys would see each other and talk. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
So and then tell me, like you said, you guys work so hard, and explain to some of our younger listeners what like the term flyering means. Like, it's where you're handing out flyers and you're posting flyers, and you guys had like these like really like tongue in cheek kind of flyers that you would make up, like Muff Diving Team and stuff like that.
LA's number one Muff Diving Team are playing at the Guitarist. Yeah. And so we'd hand out flyers that said stuff like that, our name's Warrant, sex police on one flyer, or scratch and sniff, or every flyer had its own tongue-in-cheek sexual thing on it.
Was it kind of like a war though? Would you like tear down the other band's flyers and put yours up over it or something? Or
no, we never needed to do that. We were blessed, man. We had a strong following, and we always got along with other bands, from what I remember.
That's cool. It sounds
maybe
like
the occasional little, shit faced at 1:30 in the morning on Jack Daniels. Usually might say something a little nasty to somebody, but it was all good. We're really good friends with pretty much everybody.
That's cool. So then it's around this time the major labels start taking interest in you guys, and you had a song or I guess it wasn't on the soundtrack for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but it was played in the movie Game of War, and that's kind of
no, that's not what happened. You're real close though. So we had done a bunch of demos for A&M Records. Guy Aaron Jacobus was producing us, doing some artist development, and he had mentioned a record deal a couple times, but it never came to fruition. And then he is the music supervisor for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And he asked us to write a song and record a song for that soundtrack. So that was the first time we actually, he hired a producer, Stevie Salas and David Kirschenbaum, I believe. And we went in, because most of the demos we did for Aaron were like 2-track live, record 18 songs, a 2-track live and over at A&M Studios and stuff like that. So we did our first proper recording. It turned out great. Columbia Records had been coming around watching us play. Our manager played that track for Ron Oberman over at Columbia Records, and he's like, "Wow, okay, this is what they sound like on record," and he signed us.
Yeah,
and Aaron had multiple chances to sign us, but for whatever reason, he felt we weren't ready. That was his opinion, and Columbia made an offer, and then guys from Geffen started coming around, and then some other labels. Gene Simmons even called the house and was asking about Warrant and what's going on with our record deal and stuff like that. So when A&M heard that we signed with Columbia, they pulled the song off the soundtrack before they released the sound.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so that's what happened. So unfortunately, it would have been great to be on that soundtrack. I wish that song was on there. And just some funny little record company story for you people. They were doing our first record, and we asked them if we could use the song, and they said no. On our first album, A&M did this. This is all news from my manager. I heard from my manager. I didn't actually talk to anybody at A&M, but so they said no. So Game of War, we were like, okay, well, we got enough songs for the first album. We don't have to put it on there. So Jani is a prolific writer. But the funny part is, a year later, our manager's like, yeah, we were able to get Game of War back. We had to buy it back. And oh yeah, how much? $1.
What?
They sold us. They wouldn't let us use it on our first album, and then they sold the rights or whatever for $1 back to us. It's just some funny, weird music label, record label insanity, weird shit that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of politics and shit like that. Like, it took you guys 6 months you had the contract and everything was signed, but it was like all these like lawyers trying to squeeze pennies out. And so you guys went on the road without having the record actually out because they were still trying to work out the contract deals. Is that what happened?
No, the contract was done and the record was done. And it was really smart of the label, really, looking back. I mean, we were excited and they're like, let's get it out. And they're like, you know what? We got a really good record here. We don't want it to get lost in the Christmas traffic. We're going to be releasing Mariah Carey and Michael Jackson and all the big time superstars. We don't want your record to get lost in that shuffle. So we're pushing your release date back to February of whatever it was, 1989. And so our manager said, well, if the guys don't want to sit around for 6 months, we have a couple opportunities where they can go out on the road with DeMalls, and they can go out on the road with Girls School, which was one of our label mates. So we hopped in the cheapest bus we could find, and we're getting like $200 a night, and the record label gave us like $10,000 to help cover expenses, and we went out and started touring America. Nobody knew who the hell we were. We were playing clubs, laundromats, arcades, roller rinks. I mean, it was just a mishmash of anywhere we could get a gig every night.
Were you making fans on that trip? Were you turning people into fans?
Yeah. I think so, yeah. A little bit, there's not a lot of people at these gigs, but yeah, definitely. There was no internet or anything like that back. It wasn't like people were coming out to the show and posting videos on social media. It was just like they saw the show, took pictures, had to wait 2 weeks to get them developed if they turned out any good.
Yeah.
We signed some autographs. It was funny though, because the first 2 months we went out, we would go to clubs in different places and nobody would give us a time of day. And then Down Boys came out and was a huge hit on MTV and on radio. And so, not a huge hit at radio, but MTV played the crap out of the video, and the song did really well at radio. I think it went top 20 or something like that on Billboard. So all of a sudden, everybody is being super nice to us. Everybody wanted to party with us.
Yeah,
it was good.
Did it feel like when you
prefer that?
Yeah, when you were
everybody wanted to party with us, and
for sure. Yeah, when you're recording Down Boys and Heaven and that whole first album in the studio, did it feel like magical? You're like, oh my gosh, this thing's gonna blow up, or was it just like, we don't know what's gonna happen? Who knows?
Well, I was just hoping we would sell enough records that the label would make enough money that they'll let us make a second record and then a third record. You know, that was my thought. Jerry kept walking around the studio saying, "You guys ready to be rich? You guys ready to be rich? We're gonna be rich, man." I'm like, "Okay, I hope you're right."
Yeah. Is it true that?
So he was like, he had a good feeling about it. And then Beau, Beau and Joey had a bet. I think Beau Hill said, if the record goes gold to Joey, I'll give you this black Les Paul custom that we were using in the studio. It was Beau's. And so the record obviously went, double platinum and beyond. And on Joey's birthday, we had a party for Joey, and Beau showed up with that guitar in his hand and gave it to Joey.
That's awesome.
Like he said he would. Yeah, like he said he would if the record went gold.
Is it true?
Little funny story.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is it true that Jani Lane blew his Advance on a black Corvette and then crashed it?
I don't think he crashed it. Or maybe a fender bender or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember him crashing it, but
not total.
We went and bought a black. We had a lot of fun in that Corvette. Jani and I were roommates for years.
Yeah,
we still were after we got signed. So yeah, all of a sudden we had this black Corvette to go cruise around in and go to Hollywood and stuff. It was cool.
Yeah, and so then I think was the first big tour you did Paul Stanley opening for him from Kiss?
Yeah, that was clubs. It was a club tour. Paul was doing a solo tour. And I think it was about 3 weeks long, and we were the opening act. And it was. I mean, geez, we're all huge Kiss fans, of course. So, in his band, everybody in the band was super cool. Eric Singer was with him at the time. That was when we first met Eric. Super nice guy. And so, it started. We went to Paul Stanley, to like Eddie Money for a few weeks, to 2 nights with Poison and Tesla, and then a few weeks with Rat and Great White. It was just a mishmash of, then we go to Europe, we go to Canada, we go to Japan, come back, more club dates. It was just, a few dates with Queensryche. We never got a real tour. And
then Motley Crue, right? That was the big one, 89.
After a year, we did 162 shows. Or no, 200. Was it 262? We did 262 shows in support of Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich. And I think, maybe 80 of them were with Motley.
Okay.
I mean, everything else was just us headlining a theater, or, we're as the band got, a couple million records under our belt, we still couldn't get an opening slot on a big tour. It took forever. So we started playing theaters and stuff like that, and they were selling out, and they were doing real well. So it was great. It was just a little frustrating seeing all the other bands from our genre going out with, Bon Jovi, and then jumping from Bon Jovi to Aerosmith, and then jumping from Aerosmith to Motley Crue or whatever, what I'm talking about? Just, and we're like, why can't we get a fucking opening slot on a fucking tour?
Why do you think you couldn't do it?
Tour. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. But we did.
Yeah. So tell me about the Motley Crue.
For that, and eventually we did, and we got a big one. Dr. Fielder
tour.
Tell
me about that tour, because everyone's seen the dirt. Everyone knows the story. That was around the time that they had allegedly sobered up and everything. But I heard you talking about how there was like trays of drinks, and drinks would kind of disappear, and like Vince Neil was around. So was it mostly Vince sneaking the drinks, or were they all doing it?
We partied. We partied hard. Warrant did, like, really hard when we started touring and drinking a lot, and everybody knew. And so we got the tour, and our manager's like, I got the good news is I got this tour. The bad news is it's a dry tour. You guys can't have any alcohol backstage or this or that. We're like, what about on the bus? So we're going in there, preparing ourselves to whatever, just leave the arena and go party like we did anyways most of the time. But we get there the very first night of the tour. Motley Crue's tour manager comes in our dressing room with a big like wheel tray, like at a restaurant or whatever, and it's got 24 bottles of Jack Daniels on top of it, and it says, "Welcome to the tour, boys." So it gives you an idea.
Oh, God!
Now, as far as I know, those guys were sober when we first started out, and now that's about all I can say.
Okay. So maybe you were the bad influence on Motley Crue, which is kind of funny to think about if you.
No, we weren't.
Okay.
No, nobody's a bad influence on. You can't be an influence on Motley Crue. Those guys are the kings, man.
Are you still friends with those guys? I mean, you must have like crossed paths many times.
I see Vince every time I see Vince Neil. He's super cool. I honestly never see anybody. I don't run into Tommy or Nikki or Mick Mars or anybody like that. So
okay.
if I saw him, I'm sure it'd be cool. Say hi, whatever. But no, I'm not in touch with any of those guys. But I do see Vince a handful of times every year at shows, and always super cool. Always great to catch up and talk to him.
That's cool. So yeah, and then the Cherry Pie album. So the story goes, the people who don't know, it was originally called Uncle Tom's Cabin, and it was done. And then the manager or the label, or whatever, said, "Hey, where's the hit? We need like a Love in the Elevator kind of song." So then they made Jani go back. I don't know how you just make somebody
they didn't make it.
They suggested, or
it's just when the label president calls and says, "Hey, bud, can you do me a favor and write a song like Pour Some Sugar on Me and Love in an Elevator?" You give it a try, you give it a shot. So that's what Jani did. And then we went in and demoed it, sent it to New York. The record was all done pretty much. All the drums, everything were torn down, we're mixing and stuff. And Donnie Einer loved it and said, let's record it, man. Get back in there and record it. So we brought the drums back in, brought everything back in. And it was just kind of like we just weren't, I don't want to say we were fucking around, but we weren't all uptight about it or anything. The record's done. It was just, everybody felt really loose, and let's just go in. We had some friends from Danger in town. We're like, hey, let's get those guys come down and do gang vocals with us. And Jani and, all of us, would always see CC out and hanging out with CC all the time. And so we invited him to play the solo on the song. And
Guitarist from Poison.
It was just a really loose, fun thing, and thank God Donnie Einer asked for it. And then we just said, well, this is a great name for the record, and just everything just kind of fell into place.
It's amazing that you could just say, hey, go write a hit, and he did it. Like, he rose to the occasion.
Yeah, he's good at that. He was good at that. He is so prolific. I mean, I can't even tell you how many songs he wrote that y'all never heard that were amazing.
I've heard a lot of them. Yeah. One
amazing.
of them.
We only had 10 songs on our records. We weren't one of those bands that put 17 songs on.
That's true.
And it's not because we didn't have them. We had plenty of songs. Just for whatever reason, Jani was like, we're only putting 10 songs on the record. So, okay.
Yeah. So another song that it was a hit too, I Saw Red. So the story with that was that Jani walked in on his best friend having sex with his girlfriend. Is that what it was?
He said that on stage.
Oh, he'd say that
like that. I don't know. He said it's the only true song he ever wrote.
And he still hates that fucking bitch or something like that?
And he didn't say that to me. He would say that to 10,000 people out in the crowd. This is the only true song I ever wrote. And then he'd say, and I still hate that fucking bitch or something like that. And then we'd go into the song. So I don't know.
But
I think that was just, personally, I think it was a stage shtick. And people would go crazy when he said that. I mean, he'd get a great response. So he was an amazing front man, and he had the gift of gab, and he talked a lot on stage.
Yeah. So and then you guys did you opened for Poison, and then you finally got your own tour doing stadiums with Firehouse and Trickster, the Blood, Sweat and Beers tour. I've heard so many stories about this, but is there any stories that you have that you haven't told before, or anything that stands out from that tour? It sounded like just so much fun.
It was just a blast. We it was sheds, outdoor sheds. It wasn't stadiums, but it was really cool. Be playing to 5,000-10,000 people a night, and Trickster and Firehouse were opening, and we just loved those guys. Loved the crew, all the bands. Everybody just got along great, and I think we booked like 6 weeks, and it was going really well. So they just kept adding shows. So it ended up going for, 5 months or 6 months or something. It was like the top 10 grossing tours of the year. And it was a big success and a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like, there's the whole podcast people can listen to that you did with Jericho, that you tell a lot of stories. It sounded like a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, we got Steve and PJ from Trickster and Bill from Firehouse. Sorry, Bill. And myself, and of course Jericho, and it was a lot of fun reminiscing. And they were remembering stuff I didn't remember. I'm like, oh, well, I don't remember that story.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Gee, I wonder why you didn't remember it. Like, maybe it was the booze?
Too busy having fun.
Sounds like a blast.
That was like Christmas morning every single day. It was like, it was a lot of fun, that tour, being the headliner especially.
Did you feel like Santa Claus sometimes? Because, I mean, you can make all these people's dreams come true. I mean, there must have been tons of fans that just like shaking their hand. And so, I heard you guys talk about going out to the bars after the show and just hanging out with the fans.
Every night. Yeah. Every night. Jani would announce where we're going. We get to town and our tour manager would find a club. He'd call the owner and say, the guys are playing tonight at such and such, whatever, amphitheater. And they want to party after the show, we take care of them if they come in. And then as far as I know, every time they said yes, because we'd go out, and it was specific. We wanted a club where there was a band playing and a rock club, and so, they would just roll out the red carpet for us, and 500 people, or I don't know how many people actually believed we were going to the club, but we would go every night and it would be packed. And
you wouldn't it was safe
free
enough?
Drinks all night and get up with the band and jam. And
would you get mobbed by people?
Bus.
Like people trying to get autographs?
They had security, they had places roped off for us.
That's cool.
And we had our own security that we traveled with. So, get up, jam, drink, make friends, and then hop on the bus and go do it again the next night.
That's cool. And then you had a couple songs on the Gladiator sound, not the Russell Crowe Gladiator, but the one with Cuba Gooding Jr. I love the cover of We Will Rock You.
The timing on that was horrible. We got asked to do the soundtrack. Jani wrote a song called The Power for it. And they asked us to do, wasn't our idea. They said, hey, will you do, We Will Rock You? We're like, hell yeah. Everybody loves Queen. It'll be fun. We went in, we recorded it. The movie was coming out. They released the video and the single to radio. And I think that week, or maybe a couple days before everything went into motion, Freddie Mercury died. Literally a day or two or after we released the song to radio and the video, he passed away. The timing could not have been worse. But the song and the video is really cool. We had a blast doing it. And so even though it wasn't a commercial success, it was a great experience. And a lot of people, still bring it up. And I see people posting the video. And every now and then the song will pop up on, my Sirius radio or Pandora or Spotify or whatever.
Yeah, I love your version because it's different. Would you guys ever bring that back to the live sets?
Probably not. We haven't in 30 years, so I don't think we will.
Yeah, gotcha.
You never know. I think there might have been a little taste of it actually on the Dirty Rotten tour. Maybe we just teased it a little bit. I don't know, but we've never played the song. No, we've never played the song live.
Okay. So yeah, and then the Dog Eat Dog album, I feel like that's a very underrated album. Jani said that he wrote it for his peers. He wanted to be respected as a songwriter. The label really wanted Hole in My Wall as the opening single, but Jani pushed for Machine Gun. And
that's all true.
Yeah. So
it's all true. Yeah.
Do you think it would have been?
They were loving Hole in My Wall, but he felt really strong about it, and he's a very persuasive guy, or was, and so he got his way, and then that's what we did, Machine Gun. Yeah.
Do you think that it would have been different having Hole in the Wall?
I have no idea. I don't think so personally. We could have put out Stairway to Heaven at the time and it wouldn't have mattered,
Yeah.
It would have been a flop. The radio, everything changed to grunge. So, glam bands, hair metal, whatever you want to call it, was not gonna be played on or marketed or promoted. Didn't matter what we did.
Yeah. So yeah, tell that story, because Jani he'd always gone to do his record label meeting, and it was like always the picture of a cherry pie was on the wall. And then he came in to do Dog Eat Dog promotional thing. And there was a picture of the Alice in Chains Dirt. And so that was like literally the writing was on the wall that the Seattle bands were kind of.
Yeah, it was. They actually, Alice in Chains got signed in Seattle. We were playing at the, what's the name, Paramount Theater or something. And the label and our publisher asked us if we would put Alice in Chains as the opening act so that they could see him play live, because they were interested in signing him. And so that's the night they got signed was opening up for us. And then a year later, they're the main focus, and we're not. So there you go.
Yeah, that's just kind of, it's interesting because I feel like, you know, I mean, I liked both. I was from Seattle and I got into you guys as kind of the tail end of Warrant. And I liked Alice in Chains. I liked Nirvana. I liked Guns N' Roses. I liked Warrant. So it was just like, I don't understand why there wasn't room for both. I never could understand. And I love the Dog Eat Dog album.
Yeah, I agree. But that's just the way the music business is. So yeah, we would go out all the time. Every time I got in Lane's car and we would go to Hollywood or go out, he was cranking that Alice in Chains record. I mean, it just sounded amazing and just a great record. I got to be friends with Mike Starr for a little while at the time. I don't know how we met. Cool dude. And there's just no animosity between us and the bands. That's just the industry. It's the way it is.
Yeah. So, and tell me about this, because I always wondered about this in the liner notes of the Dog Eat Dog album. It says like the musicians listed here played on every note on this album. So there was like this rumor that you guys had some help on the first two CDs. Mike Slamer, I think
Mike Slamer. Yeah, Beau Hill brought in Mike Slamer to do some solos. Joey and I, Jerry, Steven, everybody played on every song. But some of the solos were Mike. And then on the second record, I just played rhythm guitar, and Joey and Mike did the solos. So it was all good. And then we did Dog Eat Dog, and we used Michael Wagner, a different producer. And so Joey played all the guitar solos. And so that's why Jani wanted to put that on there.
Yeah, because I mean, he showed you what to do with the solo. He just created them or whatever. But you guys, like in the live shows, you played what he had showed you to play.
Yeah, just like anybody would. You know, you play this, you hear a solo and you play it. You know, sometimes some guys play shit note for note. Some guitar players you'll go see and they'll play the song a little different every night. But you know, just different stuff. But yeah, and we did play some solos as well. Joey played a bunch of solos. I played some solos. Mike played some solos, stingers and shit like that. Wasn't all Mike, but great guy, super, super sweet, nice guy. We got to see him last year. Was it last year or 2 years ago? He came out to see us play, and we got to hang out backstage for quite a while, and it was awesome to catch up.
Yeah. So, you weren't mad that they were like, then when they said like, hey, we need this other guy to come in and do the solos or whatever?
No, we didn't know what the fuck was going on. Never made a record before. Yeah. You know, we got this big time producer, Rat and Kicks, and he's leading the show. He's in charge. He's the boss. He's telling everybody what to do. And it's just like, oh, okay. All right.
That's cool. And then, so, obviously, like I said, the music, the times were changing or whatever. And you called 93 kind of the black year. You said that was just kind of the perfect storm of terrible things. Like Jani quit, and then he wanted to sue you guys, or somebody else wanted to sue you guys.
He never sued us. No, he never wanted to sue us. When he quit, he said, you guys can have the name. I'll write songs with you if you want. I just want to do something different. He was ready for a change. So our manager died. And then we had gotten $1 million advance from Brockham, and we didn't fulfill our commitment that we were supposed to play X amount of shows or sell X amount of merchandise. So we were in default on that. So they sued us for whatever, $1 million or $2 million. It all worked out.
Well, wasn't it a thing like if you had just done like 30 more shows or something like that, then it would have been
in the band or something? How do you know all this shit?
I listened to some interviews with you, one or two. Yeah.
Yeah. Lane, Lane was just tired, and we'd been on the road 5 years nonstop. I don't blame him. He wanted a break. And so that was it. Yeah. So shit happens when you just shut things down like right away.
Yeah. That's sad. I heard that he said something like, I think maybe he was just drunk or something, but he had said something to you that, Warrant's just my stepping stone for my solo career. And that kind of hurt your feelings though a little bit, right? Because you felt like you guys were a band and you'd helped each other out. And
we were a band. We'd joke around with each other. What do you call it? When you're ribbing somebody or just fucking with them. Yeah. We're always fucking with each other.
Yeah. So
yeah, no, it was good. Jani and I were best friends, and he loved being in Warrant. You could see it every night on stage. That guy was having the time of his life, making shit tons of money and everything that goes with it.
So you took
We all did. We all did. We all had a great time. So any little remark, you can't have thin skin and be in a band. It's not going to last. You can't get sand in your vagina if somebody says something.
Yeah, that's
it's still that way. So
yeah,
whatever.
That's interesting. I was just watching a Decline of the Western Civilization Part 2, the Metal Years, last night, and I was just going, oh man, like you can't say or do a lot of the stuff that was done in the 80s or even the early 90s back then. I mean, you did that stuff today. It's #MeToo. It's all these terrible things. Like, do you think that this generation's gone a little overboard with that stuff? Or, I mean, I feel like, cause like when you guys were doing it, it was all in fun. Everybody was kind of in on it. Right. Or.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You just mess with your bros, man. It's a way of showing love and camaraderie is, you take a couple digs at them here and there and laugh, and everybody laughs, and somebody takes a few digs at you or hits you back with it and says something, and you just laugh and go out and party and drink and have fun and play music and eat together and travel together and do all kinds of crazy shit together.
Yeah.
So whatever. I mean, I think whatever this generation wants to do is fine by me, man. Good for them. But that's the way it was back then. Back then, we were not all walking around on, on glass, trying not to offend anybody. Right. God forbid. We're actually trying to offend. We're going out of our way to offend each other.
Yeah, it's funny because
we laughed about it.
Yeah, like the cherry pie video, even like that was like considered at the time, even it was actually a little risque or whatever. But I look back on that and I go, oh, it's just like a cute girl dancing around. Why is that so bad? Like,
yeah, it's G-rated.
Yeah.
That video is G-rated. I mean, it's tongue in cheek. It's innuendo. I mean, you listen to lyrics today. Oh my God.
Like the Cardi B?
My son's 19 years old. I hear the stuff that he listens to. I start blushing. I mean, it's unreal.
Yeah, have you heard
the new song?
Yeah,
WAP.
the WAP.
There you go.
That's pretty crazy.
That's a hit.
That's a hit.
You know? Yeah. And you think cherry pie is cherry pie?
Yeah. No,
oh my God, are you kidding me? Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to the history of the band here. So yeah, in the 90s, you had Ultraphobic and Belly to Belly, both albums that I really like. And like you said, some of the songs that Jani wrote, they're not even big hits, but like I really like the song Stronger Now that's on the Ultraphobic. It's kind of like a Blackbird kind of like kind of thing with acoustic guitar.
It's like kind of like a More Than Words, Blackbird, this really, really beautiful song, just acoustic guitar, great song. If it had come out, at the right time, 87, 88, 89, I think the song would have been a hit. But like I said, during those years, especially 95, 96, all throughout the 90s, we were persons non grata when it comes to mainstream music and touring and just everything, magazines. So, but luckily that started turning around in 2000.
Yeah. And so then you guys, actually in 2008, you hadn't spoken to Jani in 4 years. And then, so there was a lawsuit at this point, right? For the band name, but you guys, I heard you say you settled the thing in like 10 minutes.
I don't know anything about that. I'm not going to talk about lawsuits. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, no, but anyways.
That's not what I'm not here to have a legal.
No. But it was just like, so anyways, but
we got back together in 2007. It was great. And it was, it was so great to have him back in the band and hang out together. And that was the first time we all got back together. We hadn't played together with the 5 original guys in 14 years. So it was awesome.
Yeah. It sounded really good, right?
Oh yeah. It sounded great and it was fun. And then things started happening and shows started canceling. And then we just decided, this isn't going to work right now. Let's, maybe we can try it again later. And it was a rough road. I don't want to get into all that drama or negativity. My memories with Lane are really good, and I'll keep it that way.
Okay. Yeah. And then, so things didn't work out with Lane, and then Robert Mason joins the band. He was originally in Lynch Mob. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just remember, this is like going off memory, but I feel like I remember reading like Metal Edge, like when I was a kid in the 90s, like, cause there was a brief time when Lane had left the band then, like in 92 or 93. Did you try to get Robert Mason in at that point as well?
I don't know why we didn't. I don't think we did.
No, you didn't. Okay.
Yeah, Jani quit the band in 93 or so. We decided to try and find another singer and carry on, and we never did find another singer. And 6 months later, my phone's ringing. I pick it up, and it's Jani, and he said he wanted to come back to the band. So I was like, wow, let me talk to the other guys, and we all said yes. And Lane came back, and we started doing some writing and some recording, and starting to play some shows a little bit here and there. And then I think Joey quit right at that time.
I went back to school.
Yeah, so we were just starting to get it going again. Joey quit, and then Jani had been playing with Rick Steyer and James Kotak when he was doing his solo stuff. And we decided to make a change of drums, and we brought in Rick and James Kotak, and that's when that lineup came together for the Ultraphobic.
Why do you think you stayed with the band? I mean, Jani and Steven and Joey kind of were in and out, and there was other people. It was like, why do you think you stayed with it so long? Why didn't you quit or try something else or go back to school?
I did. Actually, in 2007, I took a hiatus for health purposes. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I didn't play with the band for a year, but I was still involved, still, went out and jammed with the guys when they were in town and stayed friendly with everybody. I just needed a break.
Yeah.
And get off the road for a year and let my liver rest. So, yeah. And then I came back, and it must have been 97, 98, something like that. But I played on all the records, and I just took a break from touring.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's always been, Jerry and I have pretty much just carried on.
Carried the torch.
Tried to keep it going. In 2004, Jani wanted to do other stuff, and so we took that opportunity to invite Steven and Joey back. They came back. Yeah. So then we had 4 out of 5 original guys. We got Jamie St. James from this band Black and Blue that we all loved. We all loved the Saint, and we toured together for a few years. We made a record called Born Again with the Saint. That was a lot of fun. And so we've always just kind of kept it going. Yeah. And hard to believe that Robert's been in the band for 12 years now.
Yeah, and you guys sound great. I just saw you when you were in Phoenix a few months ago. It sounded amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, here's something I always want to ask you about. I love this song, The Last Action Hero. Did you guys make that for the Last Action Hero soundtrack, and then it just didn't get picked up or something? Because I heard like the demo or whatever it is, the rough cut version, it's really good.
Yeah, they were looking for a title track, and Jani had heard about it, or somebody asked them to write a song and submit it. So that's what we did. And I thought it was a really cool song, but they didn't pick it for the soundtrack, unfortunately.
Yeah, that sucks.
I think it was Guns N' Roses on that soundtrack, actually. It's great. Great song.
Tesla, I think, was the title track, but there's a bunch. That whole soundtrack's good. I was like, you guys would have been a perfect fit for that, but oh well. Talking about the dog, going back to Dog Eat Dog, the 30th anniversary of that album's coming up in a couple of years, right? Or do you think you'll do anything special?
Another year, yeah.
You think you'll do anything special, like a re-release?
I don't know what we're going to do for that. We're hoping that in 2021 we'll be able to celebrate the 30-year anniversary of Cherry Pie. Would be nice. It actually just turned 30 officially on September 11th.
Yeah.
Of this year, which was just this month.
That's amazing. Do you think that you would
so it's officially 30 years old now. And so crazy. We're going to carry on. We got all the staging done. We got all this new set list and a bunch of new stuff for the tour that we were going to do all year for Cherry Pie. And then COVID happened. And so obviously everything got canceled. And we're hoping next year we'll just pick up where we left off and go out and celebrate Cherry Pie every night.
Do you think you'll do a Blood, Sweat, and Beers Part 2 tour? Because that sounds like it was so much fun the first time.
Never say never. I don't see any plans. We've tried to do that once or twice in the past. Not a full tour, but we'll just play, it'll be Trickster and Firehouse and Warrant. We'll go play 2 nights or something, here and there at the State Fair or casinos or, stuff like that. But we've never taken a full, put a package together and had our agents go out and try and pitch it. You never know.
That'd be cool. And you're also hoping you want to open for like Van Halen or Bon Jovi. You've never opened for those 2 guys, right?
No. yeah, I mean, who doesn't wish that? You know, there's Van Halen, of course, the great mighty Van Halen, and Bon Jovi's great. We actually did play a show with Bon Jovi, and it was at the Palladium, and it was the I don't know if you remember Rip magazine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Lawn
They would
Friend.
do the
And
Rip. Yeah, they would do the Rip party every year. And one year that we got invited to do it was the year that Bon Jovi was headlining.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
that was pretty cool. Saw those guys in the hallway, and we got to play. And I don't remember the other bands that played. It wasn't just us two bands. But yeah, so in a way, yeah, we got to play one show with them with Bon Jovi at the Palladium for Rip. That was cool. Thanks, Lon Friend.
Yeah, he's awesome. So I know you're a big Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin fan. Those were two of your favorite bands. Did you ever get to meet Aerosmith or meet Robert Plant or Jimmy Page?
Yeah, I have met Robert Plant, and I've never met anybody from Aerosmith. We were scheduled to play 2 shows with Aerosmith. It was Black Rose, Warrant, Metallica, and Aerosmith, I think. And so we played one night, and then the second night it was raining and all this shit was going down. And so we were the only band that ended up not playing the second night. And yeah, so those are my 2 experiences, but I didn't meet anybody in the band. Joey and Jerry and Steven hung out with Steven Tyler and
that's cool.
In his dressing room, and said he was a super sweet, nice guy, and took pictures and stuff like that. So I didn't meet him. And then we played a show in Europe with Page and Plant, and
wow,
a couple of the guys went down to their dressing room to say hi. I just didn't want to meet Jimmy Page.
Really?
He's a god. He's a god. Yeah, I didn't want to make him human, man. I'd met Robert Plant and got to spend some time with him, talking for about 15, 20 minutes at Barney's Beanery one night at like 2 a.m. That was crazy story. But yeah, I just didn't want to go. The guys went down and said, met him, said hi, said he was super nice. And what I did do, though, is I stood right next to his guitar tech for 22 Led Zeppelin songs at midnight in Switzerland.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Beautiful, perfect night. Yeah, they opened up with Immigrant Song. They had string section, they had a rhythm guitarist, and they just went out there and just killed 22 Led Zeppelin songs. That was just amazing. I could touch his guitars. I was just standing right there.
That's a cool story. That's very cool. So
15 feet away.
I know that, you saw that you had to have seen the movie The Dirt with Motley Crue. Do you think that Warrant will ever do a biopic like that? Because you guys have got a pretty crazy story. I'd definitely watch that.
Yeah, our story is very similar to a lot of other bands, Band does well, band does drugs, band has divorces, band has lawsuits, band breaks up, band gets back together. It's kind of the same story we've all heard, just different names and stuff. But that's, you never know. Something like that could happen. I enjoyed watching The Dirt. That was good. Yeah, it was a good movie.
Did you guys have a new album that's coming out? You guys are working on some songs?
No, nobody's feeling creative right now during this pandemic. I know some people get really creative, and a lot of artists are doing that, but we've talked about it, thrown a few riffs around here and there. Nothing's come of it yet. So
yeah. Well, I know you have some other projects. We should promote, like you have the Cherry Pie skateboard. You've got the Down Boys music that you do for TV and film. And then you're fixing up guitars too, right? So you're staying pretty busy.
Yeah, we got the skateboards really cool. Go to Warrant Rocks, at Warrant Rocks on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. You'll see, we post stuff about skateboards. You can go to our website, warrantrocks.com, and find a link to merchandise in our store and the skateboard. It's really cool. As far as me, recently, I've just been buying Les Paul Jr. guitars, Epiphones, and I sand them down, tear them apart, paint them, some crazy, I call it punk rock. I call them punk rock guitars because they're all spray paint and they're not perfect. They look old. They look beat up. I put stickers on them. And so, yeah, people have been really responding to that. I have orders. I finished 14 today, and I have orders up to 17 so far. So I got 3 more to do.
Wow, that's keeping
so
you
people
busy.
are really responding to it and buying it. They're hand signed. They're numbered, so that makes them collectible. They're original art. No 2 of them look the same. So it's kind of a cool thing to have if you're a fan of Warrant and you dig. I think a lot of these guys are just hanging them on on the wall in their man cave.
Yeah, that's an awesome man cave thing for sure. Very cool.
Yeah, and then, Jerry and I started a company called Down Boys Music in 2011, and we've submitted music for television shows, and I think we've had about 1,800 pieces of music placed in different various cable TV shows and stuff. So so we got that. We got Warrant. We got Down Boys Music. We got our merch, and we're just dying to get back to work. We're excited to get back out and play. That's what we love to do the most is go out and tour.
Absolutely.
That's how we butter our bread, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Going out and playing live.
I can't wait to see it. Well, thanks so much for doing this. I like to end with a charity. Is there a charity that you work with? I can't remember.
Yeah, me personally, in Temecula, California, I got introduced to a charity called Michelle's Place, and Michelle passed away from breast cancer, and her family started this organization like 15 years ago or whatever it was. And I got involved with it and helping them raise money and donating money and, donating guitars for auctions and stuff like that. And they just do great work there in the community. And now that was originally just all breast cancer people that they helped, getting them wigs and doctors and groceries and, just helping people out in the community that are going through a real hard and scary time. And you can see what they do. You can see where the money goes. And so michellesplace.org, check them out.
Okay.
If you want to donate something to a really cool organization that really helps people in the community. They've helped unfortunately, there's been thousands of people that have had breast cancer in the area. And they've just been a really great help in watching them. So that's who I,
cool. I'll put that in the notes.
Who I like to support out in out in the open. Of course, I like to donate to other stuff too. Just you see a good cause, or you see a GoFundMe, or one of your friends is sick and they're trying to raise money for hospital bills. We do stuff like that. But the one organization is Michelle's Place that I've really gotten behind.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. That's like you're doing like a charity for me because I'm a huge fan. So to talk to this was like it was amazing. If 13-year-old me could see myself now, it'd be amazing. So thank you for making my dream come true.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the nice words, and I enjoy listening to your podcast. You do a great job with it. Very cool.
What? Are you serious? That is such a huge compliment. That's amazing.
Hey,
that you
man,
just said that.
I subscribed.
Wow.
When you reached out to me, I checked out the podcast before I say yes to the interview. I'm like, this guy's really, really good, man. So,
I don't know what to say to that. That's the biggest compliment I've ever heard in my life. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah,
well, no, it's true, man.
All right.
It's true. So keep up the good work.
Okay.
I'm a subscriber. And if people are interested in checking out my guitars, just real quick, you can go to at Punk Rock Guitars on Instagram. And I have a little account that I started, a few months ago when I started doing the guitar. So if anybody's interested in taking a look at what the hell I'm painting,
I'll put that.
Like, go to Punk Rock Guitars.
I'll put it in the notes for sure. Thank you so much, Eric.
All right, buddy. Thanks, man, and have a great weekend. It's Friday. I don't know when this podcast is coming out.
I'll try to get out today. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, bud.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. This was a very special episode to me. I want to thank Erik Turner from Warrant. Check out the full catalog of this band. It's available everywhere. Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. Check out their website and the links I put in the notes, and follow Erik and Warrant on social media to keep up with what they're doing. You can follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you could subscribe to the podcast via iTunes or YouTube, that helps. If you want to write me a review, that helps more. Thank you so much for listening. Again, this is a very iconic episode for me because of what this band means to me personally. So I want to give some shout outs to some people who have really helped support me through this show. Bruce Noslow, my Aunt Trish, my cousin Tina and her husband Will, who I had Will on the show. My brother Joe, my parents, my Threadin' Boys, Rob, Wes, and Alejandro. Just so many more. I'm probably forgetting people. The boys at Decibel Geek Podcast, they gave me a shout out on their podcast, so I want to return the favor here. Check out the Decibel Geek Podcast if you like rock music podcasts. That's a good one. And last, but certainly not least, I want to thank my girlfriend Dana, who's been so supportive. I've been saving this wine here for a special occasion. You saw this at the beginning. We opened it. We had a little issue with the cork, but we got it. Dana, why don't you come on in and have some wine with me? This should be interesting because I've not had a drink since COVID started. 6 months of no drink. I wanted to be in good shape in case I got COVID. Now I can die a happy man. Erik Turner said I'm good at what I do, so that's enough for me. So cheers. Have a great day or night, and remember to shoot for the moon.